let's have a chat. It's been a while since I had a sit down and chat conversation, and I wanted to give you an update of my life of the last 1 year. What went on in the last 1 year, what caused me to change a little or more like experiment a little. And it's been almost a year now. I have come to a conclusion and I wanted to share all of this. So today we'll talk about what my life has been in the last 1 year, what caused change, what changes I've made, and what have I concluded and how am I going to move forward. So it's really nice that it's October now. Gosh, time flies as you grow older, I think. And it is getting closer to my 1 billion seconds old. So it's really exciting to just conclude a little more and reflect a little on the first 1 billion seconds of my life. And if I live to 99, maybe I live to 100, I've got 3 billion seconds to live. So if I separate my life into first billion, second billion, and third billion, I think that's quite exciting. First billion has been wonderful. I've experienced a lot, learned a lot, and experimented a lot. I think as I conclude in my 1 billion seconds old, I want to see what my next billion would be. Do I want to continue living the life of my first 1 billion, or how do I want to change whenever that makes sense? So maybe we'll start with what has changed what has changed last year, which caused this current 1 year change, and I'll explain what this 1 year change is. I think this topic might be a little dense and a little heavy. I'm just thinking out loud, recording at the same time, and putting it into my Notion library anyway. So I just want to vocalize a lot of thoughts in my head because they're all over the place. So firstly, to start with something light, as part of this change, I have also restructured and rechanged my living space. For the first time, I am absolutely sure and committed to staying in Singapore. When I moved into this place, it was a little out of necessity and a little out of I really want a change. And I wanted to live in my own place for the first time and have my own space. So did that, love the space. The important thing that I actually furnished, the only place that I furnished properly to my desire, is the study room, the work room. And it's the room that's completely untouched and it has everything that I want. The bedroom is fine. The bedroom, I have a bed. It's not the right kind of bed frame, and it's not furnished to the way I desire. It's very minimalist. I've changed a lot of the walls and that's nice, but it's still not the way I want because I was not sure that I want to commit to living here. I'm not sure I want to commit to living in Singapore. I didn't want to buy furniture. I didn't want to buy too many furniture if I don't think I want to stay here for so long. But 18 months into living here, I really want to live in Singapore. And I don't mind living here longer, and I'm committed to living in Singapore, which means I will invest in furniture and furniture will follow me around. So this is part of this reflection of the first 1 billion seconds of my life. The living room as well, I've moved the table many times, and for some reason, I've never thought of moving it to the other side of the room. It used to always be this side. We move it to the other side of the room and put it against the wall. Now I've got space here, and I could put a sofa here. This is a sofa bench I use when I've got guests over for my dinner, but I'm changing it to a proper sofa that I can lounge in. Previously, because I'm so caught up in the idea of finally living alone, everything was very minimalist and perfect for living alone. Which means I don't really have a lounge area when people come over. I do have a table where people can have dinner and can chat, but there is no place to go after. There's no lounge area. I also had a rocking chair, which was one of my favorite pieces of furniture. I would just sit in it, rock in it, take naps, read, chill, and I really enjoy that. But that's not really a piece of furniture where you can have people over. Initially, I put it in my bedroom, so I've got the rocking chair beside my bed, but I really wanted it to be in the living room. I'm so glad it's not in my life anymore, because now for the first time, I'm ready to furnish my place for people to come over. Furnish a place that's more than just for me, which means having friends over, which means hosting dinners, which means just chilling with friends over here. So I'm really excited about that. Getting a new sofa. I'm gonna get a little bar cabinet, put it on the side, and yeah, and then I'll slowly change my bed and the bed frame. I'm excited about that. For the first time, I'm committed to something like, for the first time, I'm committed to staying in the country for a while. And I realized I've been staying in Singapore for quite some time now. I travel quite a bit, and this is the first year that I'm traveling less. I really enjoy my routines and my life in Singapore, and I want to be here a bit longer. I don't know how long I'll be here. I was toying with the idea of moving to China next year, but I don't think I would do that. I will still stay in Singapore. So that's a quick update, a light update before we go into something a bit heavier. Now it's October 2025. In October last year, more like November last year, so it's exactly 12 months. November last year was a bit of a challenge for me. All through, summer was alright, but as summer concluded and autumn started, which is around this time now, I'm hit with the realization that, number one, after 3 years of finding a successor to my first company, it just cannot scale without me being present. I need to be part of the first company, the consultancy firm. Number two, I was also starting my tech company then, a tech software analytics company, and I couldn't find product market fit. And I needed to do that full time as well, go full on mode, continuously pivot, and also learn a lot about engineering and tech so that I can communicate better between product engineering and product market fit, which is the sales and development and growth. I needed to do both companies full time, and I couldn't do both companies full time, and I couldn't do both. So with a heavy heart, I have decided to pause the tech company. And so paused it and let the people go. On the consulting company, let a bunch of people go. Took about 2-3 months to get everything back up on track again. Things are good, things are stable, have lots of clients working, being very busy and working on clients, that's all good. And then in Q1, I decided to redefine what the company looks like, because I couldn't find a successor, which means it doesn't matter if I keep scaling and scaling, having more clients, having more employees, because I can never take myself out of this. In the end, I spend more time managing people than actually doing the work. And for me, it's either doing the actual work, getting my hands dirty, or get a team in place, get partners in place, get a new CEO in place, and it scales without me. Because I can't do this company that scales without me, I need to be fully present, which means the whole strategy has changed to high quality clients. We work with a lot less clients. They just need to be very high quality, and my hands are deep into all these clients because I want to be absolutely sure of everything that's going on with the clients. So it changed a lot of the structure of the company, which is what they call restructuring, and I think that makes a lot of sense because I'm focused on working on the clients, with the clients, and I'm fully personally involved in every step of the way. And I think I like that a lot better. That just means that it cannot scale. And there's pros and cons to all of these things. I don't want to go into details now, but basically I've decided to be fully present with the clients that I have, and this becomes what we call a lifestyle business, not a venture business, where it scales, it grows with a J-shaped curve, and it accelerates like crazy, exponentially. I have learned that the first company is not like that. And that is fine, right? I have experimented, I have trial and tested, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So now I want to figure out what to pivot, what to change, what to add on to the services and offerings we can go in the company. So did a lot of that figuring out in the last 12 months. But let's go back to the main conversation, which is what changed in 12 months ago. Yes, the realization that I, one person, can't run two companies. I, one person, can have being the solo founder of two companies, running two companies at the same time, running two separate teams, and having a team of, I don't know, at that point we had 15 to 20 people. It was too much, okay? It was too much, it was too stressful. I had acid reflux all the time, and now acid reflux is 100% correlated with stress. Now that I've slowed down a lot, now that I'm extremely dedicated to a handful of clients and going with them through a longer journey instead of just project-based, it changes the relationship between the clients and the company. It also changed the relationship with me and stress. The last time I had acid reflux from stress was in Q1, where I was doing this whole restructuring and figuring out what works best. I had acid reflux again from eating spicy food, and I realized, okay, now I can't eat Chinese spice because there's something in that chili that really causes the acid to come up again. So that is good. Stress is managed. Sorry, I keep sidetracking. Let's go back to the main conversation. What changed last year? A year ago, as much as this whole company structure changed, the thing to me that changed the most was Trump's election. It's not about Trump winning and whatever. To me, that is the start of a brand new world that's starting. The old world that I once knew, the old world that I grew up with, the stable, growing, healthy world that I know, the post-World War II world where world is in peace, we have a social contract between countries, companies, and people, that is no longer going to be relevant in the world moving forward. The world as we know is dying, and Trump's election is the start of that timeline. On the other hand, a new world is going to rise, a new world that we define together and we build together. But everything in between is what they call monsters. It's a time for monsters. And when Trump won, I was not ready to accept the fact that the comfortable world that I live in is dead, and we're going to the era of monsters. It was very heartbreaking. It was disappointing. And it was this change in social construct. It's primarily this change in social construct that cascades down to a lot of structural changes. Made me feel very, very sad, very hopeless, very depressed. And it is what it is, right? I cannot change that. Took me a while to really talk through that with friends. I want to say it took me about 2 weeks to really embrace this hopelessness. Had long chats with friends to accept that this is reality that we cannot change. But that's just the acceptance part, right? After that, it took a while. It took a couple of months to just take the action to decide I want to change the way I am. I think I need to be updated, or I need to adapt to this changing macro that I cannot change. So the last one year has been figuring out how I want to adapt and how I want to change to adapt to what the macro market is, because I cannot change that. All my plans that I had before was conditional on the market being pretty stable, to be growing, to be healthy, to have a growing middle class. There will be inequality, but it's not crazy inequality where the rich basically owns most of the assets in the world, and there is a healthy connection with people interacting in society. And there was some level of stability, there was some level of respect, there was some level of etiquette in doing business, in growing, in building this big plan that I have. And it was this business empire that I want to build with 6 or 7 different companies that is part of this entire value chain I want to capture. And the consulting firm is the first step, the software firm is the second step, and then there are a few other companies along the way. So that was the plan initially. And I realized the change in the world means this plan might not happen anymore, probably couldn't even happen anymore, or if it still happens, it needs to pivot, and I don't know what that looks like. So the last 1 year, I've been experimenting, trying different kind of things to just understand what that felt like. It reminded me of that 2 weeks, 2 weeks or 2 months. 2 months. It reminded me of the 2 months I had during COVID, where the whole world was shut down. There's nothing you could do, absolutely nothing. So during that 2 months, I was living with my parents because I thought this was a short-term thing. I could just move out. I could use COVID to break the contract that I have with the previous place I stay with, because I hated that place. And then after a few weeks, COVID is gone, I can go back out to look for a new place. Turns out it was a lot longer than I expected, so I lived with my parents for a bit longer than I wanted. That's another strange story. But whatever it is, it's for that 2 months I live like a kind of like a normal Singaporean. I imagine a normal Singaporean in Singapore. Kind of like a 9 to 5, where I only worked for a short period of time. There wasn't much to do anyway. And then after that, we had dinner with the family, and then we'll hang out as a family. We either go and do sports, or we will sing songs, sing karaoke together, read, and just be ignorantly happy. At that point, I didn't read the news. I didn't really care about newsletter. I didn't really care about anything. It's kind of just ignorantly living life. And that 2 months was a very interesting period, because I don't want to say that I'm very well read, but I think I'm participating actively enough to know what's going on around the world. But for that 2 months, I was completely ignorant. And it's very strange, because there's some kind of bliss or happiness that comes out of being ignorant. And that was what I felt for 2 months. Was it something I would recommend everyone to do? I don't think so. I think COVID was just a very interesting time that I could experiment or experience this without much social cost, or without much opportunity cost, because nothing was going on in the world. And after 2 months, I genuinely felt happy from an ignorant point of view. Like, I don't care about a lot of things. Me, my bubble was very safe, happy, and that's good enough for me. And that was that was pretty much how I was living life. I don't think that is scalable. I don't think that is what I want in life. I don't think that's aligned with my character. So after 2 months, the world was starting to have activities again, and I opted out of that environment. And then I went back to being me again, having plans, having these goals, and then working very hard, all that kind of stuff. And that was good. After that, after COVID got better, I moved out, and then I moved to the States after, and that was really where the first company started to boom. So that was that. I feel like the last 12 months that I've experienced is quite similar to this. What do I mean? I mean, I am experiencing, or I'm experimenting with a different version of me. So for instance, right, I want to say my character or my personality before this 12 months, and my personality during this recent 12 months. So before that, I am what they call type A. I have executive assistants. It's kind of hard to speak to me and reach out to me. You have to go through someone else, because I don't want to give time to random people. I work extremely a lot. I was working insane hours. I was working weekends as well. I'm very determined and dedicated. I want to do something, it gets done. I'm very, I don't know how to put it, but if I've decided to do something, it gets done, and no one can stop me in my way. I'm also very, maybe, I don't know if aloof is the right word, but I don't like people to come into my space. So I'm very protective of my space and my time. So, and I'm very entrepreneurial. I guess that's what you can say. Working long hours, doing a lot of research. I was on top of a lot of different research. I wanted to only be in very academic circles. I'm very careful of who I let into my life and my social circle. In fact, the bar was quite high, and there are pros and cons to all of this, but I was a very determined and disciplined person. Didn't really, I still dress up because I like dressing up and it's always fun, But that was not the point, and the point was always to work and be the best. In the last 12 months, I think just being inspired by a lot of these macro conditions, and it's not about the work you put in place, but sometimes it's about connection, it's about money, it's about the right connections in place. I decided to experiment with a different lifestyle. So I stopped being the type A go-getter, super strong energy person in the room, and I started to take a softer approach. I talked about this before. I used to have very, very masculine energy. That's the word. That's the way to phrase it. Extremely masculine energy. Don't bullshit with me. I'm not interested in those gossips and girls complaining about stuff. If you want to complain, let's complain, and then let's look at solutions. Let's solve for things. But in the last 12 months, I'm learning to embrace my feminine side. So I don't have makeup now, but when I go out, and when not to go out to run errands, but when I go out and I'm going to meet someone, I'm going to meet friends, I will have makeup on my face. That's something really rare that I didn't do in the past. I now also care a lot more about fashion, about dressing up, about looking good, about skincare, about moisturizing, about like what's my skin barrier, how do I help my skin barrier to recover. All these feminine questions. And also taking a big step back from the masculine strong energy to kind of think a bit more, focus a bit more on the feminine energy, the feminine side of me. And beyond that, to not masculine or feminine energy anymore, I was taking a big step back in terms of chilling. And I mean, you could argue it in the sense that I'm in the process of pivoting the company, right? Or more figuring out what new companies to start to add into the value chain of the company that I have. And to do that, you can't just head down and focus, figure out what the objective is. I'm in the search space. So it means a lot of sitting down in my rocking chair, thinking, letting my mind wander, be bored. It's very similar to, I think being bored is important. And that's where you come up with new ideas. And it was a bit of a struggle, to be honest, because the first few months I was so determined, okay, I'm only going to give myself X amount of time and I need to have new ideas by then. But it doesn't really work this way. And it's a year now. I have some ideas. I'm going to experiment with ideas. Instead of having strong heart conviction, I'm having a bit more of an area and angle to go and explore with some level of objective and see if it reaches that and see how to get there. More importantly, I was questioning a lot of my mission in life. Previously my mission in life, or the key values that I have, was legacy. I really believe in building legacies in life. I mean, you only live once, right? Whatever amount of effort you do, you're going to put in the effort anyway. You're going to spend that amount of time anyway. So you might as well go and reach the big goal, which is some form of legacy, than just like being a cog in this big machine, right? That's my belief. That was my belief. In the last 12 months, I was experimenting with other forms of belief, in the sense that I don't have to care about legacy. I care more about freedom. The freedom to do whatever I want, the freedom to choose, the freedom to go anywhere, be whoever I want to be. And that has been good, right? I got to, obviously didn't live a 9 to 5. Friends were also not 9 to 5 people. And just had a lot of fun doing whatever I want to do. I didn't really have constraints in life. So I was very, very, very lucky in that sense. And I could experiment with new hobbies. I took up lots of new hobbies. Now I'm playing a lot of sports every week. Absolutely love that. Gotten in a lot more into fashion. I always liked fashion, but gotten a lot more into styling, understanding clothes a bit more, and just living the softer version of my life, which is the whole feminine side, right? Instead of that whole alpha energy, we have to do things, we have to strive, we have to work so hard. Still do that, but also have a bit of a work-life balance. So I like that very much. I like this new version of me. Now, it's come to a year, And I want to conclude, or I want to reflect with, I don't think I like this 1 year experiment version of me. So I do notice that, how do I put it? So to put it very bluntly, I am very comfortable in my own skin. I've always been comfortable in my own skin, and I don't compare me to other people because I like me the way I am genuinely, and like a lot of things just don't matter because I'm very comfortable in my own skin. If I don't like the way I look, so I gained a bit of weight during COVID, then I went to work out, got back to myself again. Didn't like the piece of clothes, didn't like the fabric, donate that away, go buy new things. So I'm always very comfortable in my own skin, and I'm very happy with who I am, always. So it never, I never cared about how people looked at me. And I know people typically think, oh, you know, she's like the hot one, but also really smart. And I've been to a lot of conversations and meetings with people. Literally, one guy literally said, oh, I'm so glad you didn't use your features to promote yourself, but you use your brains instead. And I mean, that has always been my thing. I always like people to see me for my brains and the intelligence and the value I can bring to the table than how I looked. But in the last 12 months, I have just focused a little bit more about how I looked. I don't know if this is what normal people experience, I don't know, but this is how just my experience in the last 12 months. I decided to put more effort into how I look and just observe how people treat me differently. And it's very interesting. I can imagine that there are people who have zero value, they provide very little value inside their head, and all the value they provide is just physical. I can see them actually living a life that way because I think society actually rewards them for looking beautiful but not really contributing any intellectual value. And that I guess that surprised me, and then that also shocked me, but more surprised, I guess, because like, holy crap, you could go through life not adding any intellectual value, which is quite a hard thing to get. You know, the amount of books I read, the amount of papers I read, the amount of thoughts that I process on a daily basis just to have new ideas, new frameworks, new theses, test them out and have interesting conversations, when you could just be pretty, walk down the street, and then get whatever you want. It just seemed a bit strange. Anyway, the last 12 months, I did notice that even if I don't talk about anything substantial and you know, any research topics, because sometimes I've been doing this for so long, when I start talking about it, I know I need to make it easy for people to understand, but it also means I can't go into too much details. And if I go into too much details, you just lose the audience immediately. And so I usually keep things high level, and I guess people think I might be dumb that way. Doesn't matter. But people are more engaging when I dress up better than me in just like jeans and a shirt. So yeah, that's strange. Anyway, it's been 12 months. I'm not saying I did that the entire 12 months, I'm just saying that I've dressed better, and I do notice when I dress better and don't talk into too much intellectual things, I think people enjoy that conversation a lot more than me dressing down and talking a lot more intellectually or a lot more in a deeper sense. So yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, it's been 12 months, and I want to conclude with, I don't like that 12 months version of, or I don't want to continue the 12 months version of me, where I stopped being that intellectually curious. I focus more on my external experience, external stuff. Not that I've done any like fillers, Botox, or plastic surgery. I just take care of my skin better. I put face mask. I am more diligent about putting stuff on my face. So I think I will still do that because that's you know, good personal hygiene in terms of keeping your skin youthful and healthy. But I'm not going to over-index on trying out this new skincare product on the market, or new brand on the market, or new new thing I want to put on my face, because because that's what the skincare people are talking about. So I'm not going to do that. I'm also not going to look more into fashion related things or bags. I really have enough. I have more than enough bags. I have more than enough clothes. I have a lot of hats already. I have a lot of scarves. I have a lot of things that I need in my life, and I'm content. I don't need to buy any more of those. I'm just going to mix and match all the fashion related items that I have and show up in the way that screams me. What I'm also going to do is, I do want to go back to that masculine energy of me, but I also want to balance with the feminine energy of me. I don't really know how to balance them, but since I've experienced the extreme masculine energy of me for the longest time in my life, I've experimented with this feminine energy, softer, not too hard in your face. I think I like that masculine energy better. I created systems in my life that can scale, that I understand, that works for me. This feminine energy thing makes me feel, I like it, don't get me wrong. I really enjoy the chill time, the girls chat, the softer version of me. But I still like that systematic nerd shit that I do as before. And I think one year is a good enough experience to try out an identity of me or a version of me, realize that didn't work out, and just go back to the masculine energy of me. And I think that is fun, and I want to go back to that. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going back to the systems that I have built. So what are these systems, right? I do daily reflections, I do quarterly reflections, I do lots of planning. And planning is not like an objective function. I'm going to change my planning style. So I think the masculine version is, okay, let's achieve this KPI by this date, and this is how we're going to define it. Like an OKR KPI version. What I want to do is to add the feminine energy in, to say, okay, this is the direction that we're going to do. This is the rough direction we want to be at. And let's be very flexible in getting there. This is the moon, this is the trajectory, but we need to keep pivoting as we get there. I was not so flexible and soft in my masculine phase. It was, this is the analytics we need to build. This is what we're going to sell. This is what people definitely want. Let's just build it and people will want it. That was wrong. That's not how you build a business. The way is, okay, these are small iterations that we're building. Let's talk to people. Let's get feedback. Let's hear what they want, and let's iterate on what they want, and let's keep building better products for people. So I think that's how I want to balance it. My goal, my vision, my mission is still the same. It has not changed, and I've tried so many ways to think of new mission visions. That doesn't work. I still want to build an empire. I still want to be like my friend Alexander the Great. When I die, I want to be Lisa the Great. I want to build cool companies. I want to build new systems. I want to be part of building that new world that we're talking about. I want to build systems, economic structures, social contracts, powered by the right kind of economic incentives with good intentions, to allow for emergence, to allow for coordination amongst different people, and build different sets of companies all aligned with this mission to build a better world. And if that better world, and I don't know what the better world looks like, if it's democracy that we understand, if it's authoritarian dictatorship for a while, benevolent dictator, who knows? I'm building these systems for an objective function, and the objective function is not in view yet. And I'm experimenting with that, and that's the feminine side. The building part will be the masculine side. And I think that's the balance that I've come to conclude. So it's a lot of brain dumping here, but more importantly, I'm making Singapore my home properly. Decided to stay here, going to be here for a while. I'm going to restart my mission that I have started a while ago. I'm going to redesign and rebuild what this plan looks like, balancing between the masculine, disciplined energy of go-getter, the feminine, soft energy of let's be flexible and adaptable to get there. The end goal is still some level of legacy. The end goal is still some level of freedom that I want. But I think legacy will still always be part of me and who I am. The vacuum is coming here. A legacy was to be part of me and who I am. So I don't think I can get that away from me. I think I do like having lots of power and control, because it's just fun. It's no point doing things if it's not fun. And it just seems so fun to be able to become like Alexander the Great. How cool is that? Okay, so that's just the crackpot, me brain jumping over here, and it feels very good to just speak out and express a lot of these things. I actually have a physical book that I've been writing a lot and reflecting by writing physically, and that helps me to clear a lot of my headspace as well. Obviously, talking is another very good exercise. So I enjoy all of this, and I am excited to see what the next period holds. I'm excited for this. I'm excited to get back to the version of me again. I almost want to say that the last 1 year kind of feels like some form of semi-retirement. And I like that for a while. I don't want to give up some aspects of it, but I'm ready for something new. I'm ready to bring back the masculine discipline energy, to find a mission worthy of my time and my energy and my headspace, to go work on it and go scale and achieve something great again. Alright, that's a lot of conversations. Till then, I'll speak to you next time. Bye.